just in the area, but in the state as a whole. You know, and if you kind of think of the general status of education in Nebraska, you know, there's some common themes that kind of come out. One, there's facilities or physical plant issues, and we're not alone in that regard. And I think if you go anywhere 10, 15, 20 miles out, you probably find the same issues that occur. And those things are expensive, and for property taxpayers, that is a burden. It costs money to maintain your facilities and to replace your boilers, to keep your building up to par, and it isn't a cheap endeavor. Another issue, and we all kind of know this in general, you know, programming and the addition of instructors and extra contracts. We see that all the time with the desire for pre-K programs and what have you, the desire for special education learning centers, and to be more inclusive in that regard. There's also you know, different programs for voc ag and industrial tech, and what a lot of schools are finding is within an area, some people do certain things of these great, but none of them can do them all exceptionally well. Now, if you're Norfolk or you're Kearney High, you probably can, if you have the population base and what have you. But the issue is, you know, that there's a lot of things that could be done differently, that could shore up programs and to get us to where we need to be, so that we can not only offer a lean and efficient school and run program, but also to have all those programs at the ready, in that we don't have to bemoan the lack of programs or the lack of things that we want, because we also have competing desires. When you start a new program, you're kind of going against the desire for a lower levy, and you know, those things are kind of counterintuitive. And I think with the state of finance here of 245 school districts, 170 don't receive state aid. And you know, we don't receive a lot. I've been watching the legislative session quite a bit, and I think it's wise for all local school districts to realize the lay of the land. The lay of the land is it doesn't look very friendly for us out there. And the wisest, the smartest thing that we can do is to be progressive and to stay ahead of the curve. Because if we sit on the curb and watch other districts be progressive and talk and what have you, you don't want to be left out. That's not a good place to be. If you build a new building, then you've pretty much kind of sealed your fate there. You're just going to do things yourself. No one's really going to want to come talk to you. That'd probably be the worst option. But with that being said, I think what we need to do, whether I'm still in this seat or whether you guys are still in your seats, that for the long haul, as long as until the board decides to go another direction, that we need to take an action to maintain the lines of communication with any and all school districts, and to just have a seat at the table. And it doesn't necessarily have to be consolidation. It could be sharing and co-oping resources. It could be a unified board kind of thing. It could be anything that's on the table. And you know, we're not going to close the lights and shut the doors in May. But what we need to do is to stay ahead of the curve, to have a seat at that table, and make certain that if a decision is made to benefit the students and the community, that we are at the forefront to do that. And I think that's the main goal of what needs to be accomplished.
Okay, with that said, what I'd like to do is I'd like to form a subcommittee that would consist of 3 people to further these communications with the neighboring school districts. And I would like to put the president, the vice president, and the secretary on that committee, the 3 officers. And that's the motion that I'd like to put forth.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Denise?
Gill,
Yes.
Sabatos,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Personal,
Yes.
Quinton,
Yes.
Ranky.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 9G, discussion and action, possible support of FCCLA National